Rain sliced through the night like needles. The narrow mountain road shimmered under the headlights as Ryan Collins pushed his car faster than he should have. He wasn't supposed to be home tonight. His business trip to Chicago was scheduled till Monday, but the board meeting had wrapped earlier than expected, and a sudden urge to surprise his wife pulled him back home. And maybe something else. A feeling he couldn't name, a heaviness in his chest since morning. His mansion sat on the hillside overlooking Lake Oregon, miles away from the nearest neighbor. A place designed to feel peaceful. Tonight, though, the silence felt wrong, disturbed, almost waiting. Ryan stopped at the iron gate, punched the code, and drove inside. The house was completely dark except for a faint, flickering light coming from the kitchen window. Strange. Emily always left the foyer lamp on. Always. He grabbed his suitcase, stepped out, and the first thing he heard was voices. Low, whispered, urgent. Not Emily's, not Emily's, not anyone he recognized. His heartbeat tightened as he slowly set the suitcase down and reached for the emergency keys hidden near the flower pot, not because he needed to unlock anything, but because the pot concealed a small switch that powered the silent alarm. He pressed it. No sound, no flashing lights, just an invisible signal sent to the private security company. Now he walked quietly toward the kitchen door. The whispers grew clearer. Do it fast, Bifashi, a sudden clang, a muffled cry. Ryan froze, his breath caught. His mind ran through 1,000 possibilities. A break-in, intruders, a robbery, but then he recognized something else. Emily's voice. Scared, strained, but the words were impossible to understand. He pushed the door open slowly. The scene hit him like a punch. Emily stood against the counter, her hands trembling, her phone smashed on the floor. Two men in black jackets surrounded her, one holding her wrist, twisting it painfully. On the table lay a black backpack, unzipped wires, metal clips, a recorder, something that looked like a USB drive. What the hell? Ryan's voice broke out without thinking. All heads snapped toward him. Ryan, Emily gasped. The man nearest to her hissed at his partner. He came home early. Take him. Everything exploded at once. Ryan lunged at the closest man, grabbing his arm and slamming him against the fridge. Emily screamed. The second intruder rushed forward, swinging a metal rod. Ryan ducked, grabbed a kitchen stool, and blocked the hit with a sharp crack. But the man was fast, too fast and strong. The metal rod crashed onto Ryan's shoulder, sending pain shooting down his arm. He stumbled, fell to one knee. Emily tried to run toward him, but the first man grabbed her hair and yanked her back. She cried out, a sound Ryan had never heard from her before. Rage surged. Ryan pushed himself up, slammed into the second man, and both crashed into the dining table, breaking dishes everywhere. The man pulled out a small blade and slashed at Ryan's arm. Blood spattered onto the white marble. But Ryan didn't stop. He rammed the man's head into the table edge. The intruder fell unconscious instantly. The first man panicked, shoved Emily away, grabbed the backpack from the table, and sprinted toward the back door. Ryan, adrenaline burning through him, dashed after him. You're not getting away, Ryan shouted. The man flung the door open, but froze. Two security officers stood right outside, guns drawn, headlights from their vehicle cutting through the rain. Drop the bag. One of them ordered. The intruder bolted toward the fence. Don't shoot, the officer yelled as they chased him. Ryan leaned on the doorframe, chest heaving, blood warm on his arm. Emily rushed toward him, tears streaming. Ryan, I'm so sorry. I didn't know what they wanted. He held her tight, but the look in his eyes wasn't relief. It was suspicion. Because something wasn't adding up. Why would intruders break in when they clearly knew Emily was home alone? Why didn't they steal anything? Why did they want that specific backpack? And why did Emily look like she knew more than she was saying? What were they after? She looked away just for a second, but Ryan saw it. A truth? A fear? A secret? Before she could answer, one of the officers rushed back. Sir, we caught the guy, but there's a problem. Ryan stiffened. What problem? The officer hesitated. The man, he claims he wasn't robbing you? He claims your wife called them. The words sliced through the room. Emily's face went pale. Ryan stared at her. Called them. For what? Why? And then Emily whispered something, but her voice was so low, Ryan barely heard the words. Ryan, I didn't want you to find out this way. The room went dead silent. The officer glanced between them, confused. Rain hammered the windows like a ticking clock. Find out what? Ryan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Emily lifted her, eyes full of fear, regret, and something darker. That backpack. It wasn't theirs, she said. It's mine. Ryan stared at Emily like he was seeing a stranger wearing her face. Rain slapped the windows harder, the storm growing wild, asked if the night itself reacted to her confession. That backpack! It's mine. The security officer stepped back, awkwardly, sensing this was no longer just a break-in. Ryan swallowed hard. Emily, explain now. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. She looked at the smashed phone, the cracked marble floor, the blood on Ryan's sleeve, everything, except his eyes. Sir, the officer interrupted quietly, we have the intruder detained. Should we call the state police? Ryan didn't answer. He kept staring at his wife. Give us a moment, he said finally, voice low but firm. The officers nodded and stepped outside, closing the door behind them. Silence filled the kitchen. Like smoke. Ryan slowly walked to the table, lifted the black backpack, and placed it between them. His hands shook not from pain, but from the dread crawling up his spine. Emily, he whispered, what's in here? She didn't answer. So Ryan unzipped it himself. Inside were multiple SD cards, a small encrypted USB drive, a silver recorder with a blinking red light, a folded contract, and a plain black folder with a blue emblem stamped on it. The emblem made Ryan freeze. A circle hawk, a single number, 14. 14. Ryan felt the bottom of his stomach drop. Oh my God, he breathed. Emily, do you have any idea what this is? Her voice cracked. Yes. He grabbed the folder with trembling hands. This belongs to Helix Corporation. Emily nodded, tears rising. Helix Corporation, one of the largest biotech companies in North America. Ryan's own company's biggest rival for the upcoming government defense contract. And this folder, this symbol, was from their classified unit. Emily, his voice shook. Why do you have Helix intelligence documents in my house? She lowered her head. Because I took them? The world tilted. You what? I didn't steal them for money, she whispered. I took them because of you. Ryan couldn't breathe. Don't lie to me. I'm not lying, she said, voice trembling. I know your company, Orion Technologies, is losing the defense bid. I know Helix is planning something illegal to win it. I found proof right there. She pointed to the folder, and when I realized what I had, I panicked. Ryan opened the folder with stiff fingers. Inside were documents stamped confidential. Project R14, gene-targeted chemical prototypes. Covert testing outlines, acquisition targets, unreported experiments. Horrific stuff, enough to destroy Helix. Enough to cause an international scandal. Enough to send the people who created this to prison. His voice broke. Emily, how did you get these? She squeezed her eyes shut. Because I worked there? Ryan froze. What? I was an analyst for Helix. Long before I met you, when we married, I left. I thought I was done with their secrets. But 2 weeks ago, I got a message from an old coworker. She'd said Helix was developing something dangerous. Something the government wasn't supposed to know about. Something that would give them the contract no matter the cost. Ryan sank into a chair. You should have told me. Emily shook her head violently. I tried. I tried so many times. But Ryan, you love your company more than anything. You would have confronted Helix publicly, instantly, and they would have come after us. Ha. So instead, he said slowly, you broke into a billion-dollar biotech giant. Alone? I didn't break in. Emily swallowed. I was invited inside by someone who wanted the truth exposed. But when they found out the documents were missing, they blamed me. Those men tonight, those weren't robbers. They were Helix contractors. Ryan's chest tightened. You mean they came here to kill you? Emily nodded slowly. And get this. She tapped the USB drive. Ryan closed his eyes, fury building like thunder. Emily, this USB drive alone could ruin Helix. Why didn't you tell me you were in danger? Her voice cracked. Because I knew you'd run straight into the fire. And if Helix finds out you have this, they'll destroy you. Ryan slammed his palm on the table. I am already in the fire. They attacked my home. They hurt you. They cut me. They chased my wife, like prey. Lightning struck outside, shaking the glass. Emily fell into a chair. When those men forced their way inside tonight, I thought I was dead. They kept asking me where the drive was. They tried to break my phone so I couldn't call you. I only managed to hide the USB at the last second. If you hadn't come home early. She covered her face with shaking hands. Ryan moved closer, gently holding her wrists. Emily, look at me. She lifted her tear-filled eyes. You should have trusted me, he said softly, not tried to protect me by doing this alone. Her lips trembled. You don't understand. I didn't hide this from you because I didn't trust you. I hid it because, boom. A loud crash shook the backyard. Both of them jumped. What was that? Ryan whispered. Another crash. Then shouting. Then a scream. Ryan rushed to the window. His security officers were on the ground, one unconscious, one struggling to stand. The intruder they had detained was gone. No, Ryan whispered. He had help. Another shadow emerged near the trees. 2 more. 3. Emily grabbed Ryan's arm. Ryan there? Coming back? He grabbed her hand and ran toward the hallway. Upstairs, safe room. Now, they sprinted up the stairs as voices echoed outside. Go inside and lock it, Ryan ordered. Emily grabbed his shirt. What about you? I need to shut down the entire house grid. If they breach the server panel, they'll trap us inside. Ryan pushed her gently toward the hidden door. Emily, go. Tears streamed down her face. I can't lose you. You won't. He kissed her forehead and shoved her inside the safe room. The door sealed. Ryan turned. Breath sharp, heart pounding, blood still dripping from the cut on his arm. Shadows moved outside the front windows. A voice echoed through the house. Ryan Collins. We know you have the drive. Open the door, and we won't hurt her. Ryan froze. Emily was in the safe room. They couldn't get to her. They didn't even know where it was. So who were they talking about? Footsteps dragged across the porch. A body? Someone shoved forward. Someone crying. Then a scream Ryan recognized instantly. Ryan, help me. His chest collapsed. It wasn't Emily. It was Anna, his younger sister, bound, bloodied, terrified. Open the door, the voice warned, or she dies first. Ryan's hands shook. This just went from dangerous to war. Morning sunlight spilled across Lucas's bedroom, but it did nothing to brighten the cold heaviness in his chest. He had barely slept. Every sound in the night, the distant elevator hum, the shifting pipes, the faint creak of the AC vents, felt amplified, like someone was moving inside the walls. He pushed himself off the couch and walked toward the window. Outside, the street looked absolutely normal. Families walking their dogs, kids racing bicycles, an elderly man drinking coffee on his balcony. Nothing looked wrong, which made the uneasiness inside Lucas even worse. That warning note from the night before, move bedrooms, don't ask questions, wasn't a prank. He knew it in his bones. Whoever wrote it had information. Real, specific information. Information they shouldn't have had. And that meant the person wasn't guessing. They were watching. Lucas rubbed his hands over his face and grabbed his phone. Enough was enough. Fear had turned into anger, and anger into determination. He dialed the building's security office. The guard answered immediately. Good morning, sir. How can I help? Someone came to my floor last night, Lucas said without hesitation. I want to see the hallway footage. There was a pause. Then the guard replied, Sir, no one accessed your floor at any point last night. We have full surveillance logs. Everything was clear. Lucas froze. What do you mean no one? He pressed. Are you absolutely sure? Check again. I'm 100% sure, the guard insisted. No movement in your hallway. Not even for a second. Lucas's heart sank like a stone. If no one appeared on camera, if no one walked down the hallway, if the building's security saw nothing, then the person who left that note wasn't outside the apartment. They were already inside. Lucas ended the call and stood silently in his kitchen, staring at the refrigerator without really seeing it. He opened the door out of habit, looked at the untouched food, then shut it again. He wasn't hungry. His stomach felt like it was tied in a knot. He noticed 2 glasses on the counter. One had water. The other was spotless. He never used glasses. He drank straight from bottles. Always had his pulse spike. Someone else had used that glass. Someone had been close enough to touch his things. To drink from his kitchen? To stand in his apartment while he slept? The idea made the air feel thinner, the silence heavier. He spent the entire afternoon searching the apartment from top to bottom. He checked the door frames, the windows, the wardrobe, the shower, the crawl space in the utility closet. Even under the bed, everything looked perfectly normal. Too normal. And that perfection, that untouched neatness, made him feel even more watched. Like someone had spent enough time studying his habits to leave everything exactly the way he would leave it. By evening, his nerves were frayed. At 7 p.m., the doorbell rang. Lucas almost jumped. He approached slowly and checked the peephole. A delivery boy stood outside, holding a small package sealed in brown paper. Lucas opened the door. Delivery for Lucas Grant. The boy asked politely. Yeah? Lucas said, hesitating before taking the package. After a quick signature, the boy walked away. Lucas closed the door and carried the package to the kitchen table. No brand, no return address. No shipping label, just a small sticker on the top. Open alone, his throat tightened. He peeled back the paper carefully. Inside was a matte black box, completely plain and smooth. He opened it. Inside was a single USB flash drive and a folded note, hands trembling slightly. He opened the note. You changed the room again. Good. Now plug in the drive. Lucas's stomach dropped. Someone knew he had switched bedrooms again. Someone knew exactly what he did. When he did it, was he being watched from the vents? From a hidden camera? From somewhere else entirely? He stood there for nearly a full minute, Staring at the USB dot, he could call the police. He could call the building manager. He could walk out and never come back. But curiosity and a deep swallowing frustration, whatever this was, it was not going away on its own. He needed to understand. He took a breath, opened his laptop, and inserted the drive. The screen flickered, then went completely black. Lucas stepped back, heart pounding. A moment later, text began, typing itself onto the empty screen. "Hello, Lucas." His mouth went dry. Then another line appeared. "Don't be afraid. I'm not here to hurt you." He felt his breath catch. He didn't touch the keyboard, but the typing continued on its own. Fast, steady, deliberate. "You're living in an apartment that was never meant to stay occupied. Not after what happened here." Lucas's pulse thudded loudly in his ears. "What happened here?" he whispered, even though he knew the laptop didn't need him to speak. The next lines appeared instantly. "You think security didn't see me? Of course they didn't. The cameras can't see what I am." Lucas's entire body went cold. What I am? Not who I am? He yanked the flash drive out of the laptop. The screen instantly went blank. Silence filled the room, thick and smothering. Lucas stood there breathing fast, gripping the USB like it might bite him. Then a knock, soft. From the bedroom. Lucas froze. The knock came again, this time a little louder. His hand loosened, and the flash drive fell to the floor with a small click. Another knock. Lucas forced himself to move toward the bedroom hallway. His legs felt numb. His heart raced so hard it hurt. He reached the bedroom door. The knocking stopped. The silence pressed against him like a weight. Then, from inside the dark room, he heard a voice, faint, unnatural, like static shaped into words. "Lucas, why did you unplug me?" The hairs on his arms stood straight up. The bedroom light flickered. The TV in the living room turned itself on. The laptop restarted on its own. Lucas stumbled backward as the bedroom door, slowly, very slowly, began opening from the inside. The darkness behind it wasn't just dark. It felt like something was standing there, watching, breathing, smiling, waiting.